Good morning, viewers. I'm Alhaji Kadunabi Ibrahim Lubega, the Chief Executive Officer of the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. And we are the regulators of the insurance industry in Uganda, and indeed work to see that we develop it and ensure that the policyholders are protected.
Thank you. Last time we heard you answered some of the questions, but today we would like you to answer these 7 questions. And the first one is, what are the key regulatory and the challenges that have been implemented in the insurance sector during the past month?
Indeed, there are many developments which we have registered over the last month, but suffice to mention just a few. And these ones are on the regulatory side. We have seen that the fees regulations have been gazetted, and very soon we shall be distributing them to the industry. And we have also seen that we are continuing to conclude the micro-insurance regulations. And the micro-insurance regulations are intended to guide the sector on the micro-insurance, the insurance of the small scale or people at the lower pyramid. And this is very much looking at ensuring the people in the informal sector. So we are very, very optimistic that when those regulations come on board, they will help us to improve the coverage and also to ensure that the people who have hitherto not been insured will be insured. We are also looking at promoting the takaful regulations, and as you may have heard, the Islamic banking regulations were developed, but we have not yet developed the regulations for takaful or Islamic insurance. And this is insurance which is based on the Sharia principles. This is also an area which is very, very much important in the development of countries. And it is not only for Muslims. It has been found that all people would like to participate in Islamic insurance and Islamic banking, because Islamic insurance, in as much as the conventional insurance is about risk transfer, takaful or Islamic insurance is about risk sharing. You share the risk, and in case you make a loss, you definitely share it, all of you. But when the company makes profits, you also share the profits. So you benefit, and everybody looks at making sure that the sector is safe, because he knows at the end of it, there is a benefit which comes to him or her. Then we are also looking at finalizing the minimum premium and maximum commission rates. We have done quite a lot, but still there is some few things which we need to address to see that they are concluded. And these rates are supposed to guide the industry on what the minimum can be charged. And that doesn't mean that that is the maximum. It means from that. And from that, you can charge anything above, but it is intended to ensure that companies do not go under, they do not become insolvent. As you know, many of our companies want to compete, and some of them think of competing on prices. We are trying to address that in here. And the second component of it is the maximum commission, which looks at how much commission, what is the maximum you can give out as commission. And it is also intended to ensure that we address the management expenses, which shouldn't be much more than certain percentages. So we guide on the industry on what that should be. So Those are some of the regulatory developments which we have registered over time. The challenges have been the usual, and we continue to address them as usual.
Thank you, sir. Well detailed. Number two, how is the Insurance Regulatory Authority promoting and ensure protection and ensuring fair practice within the industry?
Okay, consumer protection within the insurance industry is indeed done through a number of interventions. Important to note is that as the regulator, we made sure that we develop certain benchmarks which must be done for anybody who is involved in insurance. And first of all, we made sure that for every player or licensed player, in order to sell insurance, you must first and foremost educate the people, inform the people about the product which you are selling. And this is intended to ensure that we address the issue of mis-selling, where people want to buy something else and for you, you give him another product. That one we are trying to address. Before you sell any product, you must explain to the client or prospective exactly in details. The second bit of it is that we made sure that you must put a key fact statement on the policy. You must be clear that if I didn't exactly understand what you explained, at least I can read and know that the product I'm buying is covering 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And it will not cover this and that and that. So that is intended to ensure that we address the issue of everybody buying must buy what he knows. The other intervention we did is that after selling, you must carry out after sales service. You do not go to the client only to sell. You must go to the client, check on him or her, how they are faring, and what do they need to improve on to make sure that the risk is manageable. And all those interventions we have addressed with the licensed players, intending to ensure that we are safeguarding the people who buy insurance. Then we go to other levels where now we give guidance on what happens under what situation. One of which is that we made sure that there is claim payment procedures, and the guidelines are clear. They must, someone must know that when I get a claim, when I am supposed to claim, this is what I must do. And amongst those things to be done, someone must know what are supposed to be done by the person claiming, but also what is supposed to be done by the insurance company. And if there is need for other industry players like loss assessors and adjusters, maybe insurance brokers and others, all that must be was clearly stated down. And what we are trying to do here is we ensure that if someone is claiming, he must know what is happening next, and if it involves appointing a loss assessor must share the report with the client and also with the insurance company. Because before there was issues where assessors' reports were not shared with the clients, and people used to complain. So we want to avoid all of that. If you have done a job and it is professionally done, let everybody know what you have done. And we also give timelines within which a claim must be settled. And this was intended to ensure that at least people can plan, and also people can be certain of what is happening and when. The other bit of it we also put in place is that if there is a complaint, if there is any complaint or claim, it must start with you, the underwriter, the insurance company. And we made sure that each of the insurance company must put in place a complaints desk with people who are dedicated to hear complaints. And this is intended to ensure that internally you resolve these complaints before they come up to maybe the regulator or anybody else. This has to a great extent addressed many of the challenges which we used to have before, but we also put another layer that if a complaint at the company hasn't been addressed, then you are free to either go to our website, look at where you can register your complaint, register it. When a complaint comes to the regulator, we must hear it. And we also give timelines within which we must hear a complaint and resolve. Now, when we resolve, we write a ruling and we share it with the company which insured and also the complainant. And when that is done, it is really indeed up to the affected parties to say they are convinced or not convinced. But in case you are not convinced, there is also another layer of consumer protection. If you are not convinced with the ruling of the Insurance Regulatory Authority, please feel free to go to the Insurance Appeals Tribunal. And the Insurance Appeals Tribunal also has set timelines within which it will hear your complaint and resolve it. Also, if you are not convinced with the ruling of the Insurance Appeals Tribunal, feel free to go to the High Court of Uganda. And all that is intended to ensure that we protect the consumer. And as you know, the Insurance Act was very clear on one of the clear objectives of the creation of the Insurance Regulatory Authority was to protect the policyholders. And in this, we not only protect the people who have bought insurance, we also protect those who have not yet bought, or the prospectives. And it is intended to ensure that everybody is clear and is safe, that there is no people taking others by when they are not aware of what is expected. The other one which we did was we made sure that in these engagements we have with the public, definitely people want to call, and we know that very many people do not have money. So we created a toll-free line. Anybody can call the Insurance Regulatory Authority. He can call the Insurers Association. They also have another toll-free line and other players to ensure that you can lodge your complaint or you can ask anything you feel like, and that shouldn't really stop anybody because he doesn't have money. So we think as the regulator, we take the consumer protection as one of our core mandate, and we think to the great extent we are doing our best.
So great and well detailed. That transparency into information. Thank you, sir. Number 3, what measures have been taken to ensure transparency and accountability among the insurance providers in Uganda?
Accountability and transparency are critical issues, and you may not, for the transparency bit, there are those what we call the insurance principles. One of them is the utmost good faith. And the lawyers, I think, call it you must come to court with clean hands. But most importantly, when you come to an insurance company, you must declare everything as truthful as it is. You, the one who is coming to the insurance company to buy a policy, please declare everything as truthful as it is. And that is intended to ensure that there shouldn't be fraud. So people who come to defraud insurance companies, they are also, they must be held accountable. Yeah? And also, on the part of the insurance company, you must also disclose as detailed as possible everything which you have. What I stated earlier on, the obligations of the insurance company are intended to ensure that the insurance company is held accountable. But the accountability does not only stop at the insurance company. The accountability also looks at the person who is coming. So that principle of utmost good faith works on both sides. The other one of transparency is that you must be really as transparent as possible, and everything must be done in broad daylight. Before, we used to have policies which had small prints. Up to now, I hear some people referring to the small prints. Those small prints no longer exist. We made sure that everything must be readable, must be clear in English which can be understood by everybody, and that was intended to ensure that there is really transparency. The other accountability bit of it is that we make sure that when you underwrite insurance business, you must be solid. You must be solvent. We call them solvent. You must have the money in order for you to be allowed to underwrite new businesses. And that's the very reason why we went to the risk-based supervision. Now, what we are doing is that we no longer look at what we used to call compliance-based supervision. You must be able to ensure that you have showed the regulator that you have capacity to underwrite this and that business. If you do not have, then you are not fit to underwrite new business. And these people do reports every quarter. And every quarter, we expect to do an analysis as the regulator, which helps us to know what is happening in the market. What we are going to now is a different one. We are now going to look at it every day. And we are going to use the software which we have acquired to give us everyday situation. And that will address the transparency and accountability bit of it. Then the parts of looking at making sure that the principal officers or the senior management are fit and proper. All that is ensuring that there is accountability. And accountability, we are accountable to the public, the insurance companies are accountable to the public, but everybody is accountable, because when you part with money, you want to know what is happening.
Thank you, sir. Question number 4. Are there any updates regarding licensing, registration, or compliance requirements for the insurance companies and intermediaries?
Indeed, there are various developments over the past 1 month. We have registered about 47 new agents, and our target is by close of the year, we want to have not less than 4,000 licensed agents. Actually, our medium-term target is to have at least 5,000 agents to be licensed, and our long-term target is we will also add on the agents for agriculture insurance, and for agriculture insurance alone, we want to license a minimum of 12,000 agents who should be licensed. We also issued out compliance letters to about 276 agents, and all that is intended to ensure that the coverage, these are the foot soldiers who must go to the public and sell or tell the public about what insurance does, which kind of insurance policies are available, how one can be paid, and things like that. So we also saw that we licensed an insurance broker, which is an insurance intermediary, and this is an addition to the existing numbers. As you may recall, insurance brokers are professionals who are supposed to do not only sell, but they must also do claim handling. They must explain to their clients what happens and many other engagements. We have, as I said earlier on, we have concluded acquisition of the risk-based regulatory software. That is a very, very important achievement. We expect by close of this year, at least the first module to be completed, and that is the installation. This is going to help us. This software has 3 modules we are starting with, and the first one, which is on returns and the regulatory returns and everything, is going to help us to have real-time submission of what happens in the entire insurance industry. And it will help us to know when a company has issues, then we help them. But also, it will also guide on and remove the man intervention, which may distort some facts or may bring in the facts and our reports come in much, much late. So that is one of, those are some of the things we have registered over the last month, and we are happy about them. Emerging risks can be looked at in various ways, and emerging risks can be looked at as the Islamic insurance, which I talked of earlier on. Those are emerging risks and emerging trends or areas. These are new areas which we are going to. We have exposed our staff to do the training in those new areas. We have exposed them to do training in Islamic insurance. We have exposed them to do training in oil and gas. We have exposed them to do training in agriculture insurance. We have exposed them to do training in even the micro bits of insurance, which before were not major concerns. And the others, which we are indeed looking at, we are looking at ensuring that some new things or reassurances are done, like the TACAF, the Policyholders Compensation Fund. How does it work and how can it help us? These are new things which are coming on board, but they are intended also to ensure that we widen the net, but also they are intended, we also make sure that we support the industry. Also, as you may know, we are doing inspections now on like workers' compensation. We are doing it with the Ministry of Gender. In order to ensure that as we do it, we look at all the issues which are concerned. We are also doing inspections on anti-money laundering. As you know, it is a requirement now, and we are keenly following it up. And we can say that we have seen many developments taking place. The Appeals Tribunal is in place, and many other things have been put in place to ensure that we go ahead in the positive direction. Motor third party is an area which we continue to pursue and see that we can change, because it is intended to ensure that it is a social cover. a social cover which protects the people on the road who are third parties, who are not related to the vehicle, they are not related to the insurance, and it is good. We are also ensuring that we pursue further the national insurance policy, which is going to guide the entire insurance spectrum. As you may note, some of our neighbors have already now started insuring their public properties. In Uganda, we have not yet done so. So these are things we are pursuing with other government agencies to ensure that we conclude that exercise.
My number 6 is what efforts have been made to promote financial literacy and educate the public about the benefits of insurance?
Indeed, various efforts have been made to ensure that public awareness of financial inclusion is addressed. We have an engagement with, as financial sector players or regulators, with Bank of Uganda, Capital Markets Authority, Uganda Retirement Benefits Authority, and we do joint public awareness campaigns. These are intended to ensure that the people who are in the financial sector must be secure. And the security we are looking at is not only one side skewed. It should be a holistic financial literacy. And this makes a point that when someone has an insurance policy, he must have a bank account. When he has a bank account, he must be able to participate in the capital market space and things like that. And he must be able to save. When you save, you are in the space of OBRA. So that campaign is still ongoing, and we continue to hold quarterly meetings as CEOs now to ensure that we get a brief of what has happened, and even Minister of Finance is in this campaign. The other engagement we are doing at the insurance sector is we have a unified approach with Uganda Insurers Association, Brokers Association, and other associations, Insurance Training College. This ensures that we do joint campaigns, and the joint campaigns are intended to also help us as we go to the public. We go there as a block. If they are accusing one of us, they must accuse him before all of us, and we address the accusation from there. And that has helped us to ensure that people become more certain of what is happening, but also who is responsible for what. The other campaign we are doing is at the authority level, at the Insurance Regulatory Authority. We have continued to do our public awareness and consumer awareness campaigns. We have a team which is full-time in the field, and to enhance it further, we have now procured a truck which is intended to ensure that you can call it a public awareness truck, you can call it an advertising truck. It is intended to ensure that at all times our team is in the field, but it is well facilitated to be in the field all through, and we must be doing awareness about insurance, about financial literacy, to ensure that the uptake of insurance is improved.
Thank you, sir. From the beginning, number 1 to number 6, I would like to ask more questions because they are well detailed. You explained them very well, but last year, as CEO, is there any additional information or any updates that the CEO would like to share regarding the overall direction and the vision of the insurance sector in Uganda?
What I can say is that as the insurance regulator in Uganda, we will continue working with other relevant government agencies to ensure that we provide protection to Ugandans. As you may recall, we started a campaign on marine insurance, mandatory marine insurance. That is an area which we are going to put emphasis on moving forward. And the digital platform of Motor Third Party, we are continuously improving it to ensure that at least it is not only payment, but it must also be that you start and end with the digital platform. So the issue of the third-party sticker or certificate, the mandatory one, we are working on it because it is a legal requirement. And indeed, we continue to see the industry growing on double-digit trajectory, and we are happy as the regulator, but we also provide additional assurance to the insuring public. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CEO.
Welcome.
Any question?
That's okay.